Hello and welcome to No Sevens Dice Club College Football Predictions Week 13, 2002. You see that up there in the corner? Oh, No Sevens has been drinking or something, huh? It's supposed to say 2022. Instead it says 2002. That's pretty funny. Hey, look, it's the last week, I guess, and I did this Sunday, so when I was watching NFL, I guess I might have been doing a little bit of drinking. But guys, I hope you had a great week last week with your predictions and everything else. No Sevens went 4-4, so this week means that we're going to have to do it all. All of November depends on this week here, so we gotta finish out strong. Unfortunately, that 79% win percentage is still going to hold for 2019 because of that 4-4 record. We have 42 wins, 26 losses, and one LSU push from the Arkansas a couple weeks ago. I'm shooting this on Monday, and I'm actually shooting it during the day, and I actually have energy. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I don't sound like I'm a zombie, and this is who we're picking. So I have energy, so let's make the most out of this. So week 13 notes. Down goes Tennessee. I don't know if you guys saw that South Carolina Tennessee game, but man, Spencer Rattler, I was telling you about him. I was saying that, man, he's going to be the difference maker pretty much, and how Tennessee lost to Georgia, and South Carolina scored the first touchdown on Georgia's defense, and that they're a legitimate team, still putting together a great squad. I'm telling you what, that SEC East, man, they're catching up. If and the SEC West is not careful, the SEC is going to be the most dominant instead of the West, which is kind of a polar opposite sides of the polar spectrum. But hey, look, one side's weak. It's like the pendulum. It swings one side and it swings back the other. So anyway, South Carolina just blew the doors off of Tennessee. It wasn't even close. Don't even look at the final score. I mean, it was as soon as South Carolina had it, they just scored touchdowns. In fact, it was the most points scored against a top 5 team since 1896, I think it was. It was some record that held on for over 100 years that just got totally smashed by South Carolina. So my hat's off to South Carolina playing a great game. They play Clemson this week, and man, that's going to be a great game. I don't have them on the board, but that's who they play this week, so that should be a really fun, interesting game. Like I said, it's the last week of the season. Hard to believe, guys. Next week is conference championships. Then a few weeks later, it's bowl season, and then playoffs. So with Tennessee going down, there's no doubt that my Tigers are now going to be hopefully number 5. And when Ohio State and Michigan play, LSU is going to be in the top 4 playing against Georgia in the SEC championship. So that's going to be a good game there. Speaking of, real quick, spoiler alert, if you want to pick that game, LSU and Georgia, LSU is plus 15.5 right now. Just throwing it out there for you, okay? So whichever way you want to go, LSU is plus 15.5. I'm not sure they're going to cover that or not. Maybe you like Georgia minus 15.5. Either way, you can get that line bet now. All right, TCU, Ohio State, and Michigan all survive a super scare. At TCU, 15 seconds left of the game, they run their whole entire offense off and run their whole entire field goal team on, set it up, and scored an extra field goal to win the game and win by 1 point against Baylor. Hats off to Baylor. They played a really good game. Maryland played a really great game against Ohio State. Ohio State just couldn't get going. And Michigan. Man, Michigan also. I mean, I was thinking to myself, I was like, all 3 of these teams are going to go down in 1 week. That would be insane. But they all survived. And Ohio State and Michigan's playing each other. I had that one on the board. So let's start it off. Mississippi State at Ole Miss. It's the Egg Bowl. and they'll be playing on Friday at 6 p.m. because they have the World Cup going on. So a lot of these games that normally play on Friday this year are being moved to Saturday. That's the reason why we don't have a lot of action on Friday, because we have World Cup during the day. So Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Ole Miss got destroyed against Arkansas. I mean, just the doors blown off of them. I mean, it looks like they didn't even show up for the game. I mean, it was quite embarrassing. I picked Ole Miss minus 2.5 in that game, and man, I couldn't have been more wrong in my life. But Mississippi State is plus 2.5. They're playing at Ole Miss, 6 p.m. Friday night game. Perfect after all your shopping. You can come in, take off your shoes, sit back, drink a cold beer, and watch this game for Friday night. Unfortunately, guys, you don't have anything to watch during Black Friday sales. To tell your wife the car doesn't work and we can't watch anything, or we can't go shopping because we got football. Not this year. So let's go ahead and let's take Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State, they're still doing great things with that program. Mike Leach is still coaching them hard. Ole Miss, the lane train got derailed a few weeks ago and hasn't been able to recover ever since they lost to LSU a couple weeks ago. So let's go ahead and take Mississippi State plus 2.5. I really like that. I think Mississippi State's going to win this game outright also, because they just seem like the more complete team. And this is always a pretty close game. Don't think that there's going to be a record blowout either which way. They play each other really tough. A lot is riding on this. The state of Mississippi bragging rights. So whenever I see a plus 2.5, I really like it. If you can get this for plus 3.5, even better. All right. Like I said, we talked about Baylor at Texas. Baylor played TCU as best as they could. I told you Dave Hernandez, that defensive mind that he's got, he knew how to game plan against TCU, had them on the ropes, and just couldn't get that last knockout punch and make them, fall down. He had them, dead to rights the whole entire game pretty much. But they're going to Texas. Baylor's plus 8.5 in this. Texas is minus 8.5. This is an 11 a.m. kickoff game. So you might want to grab an extra TV because they have a bigger game than this being played, unless you're from Baylor or Texas, and this is your game. But Baylor is playing really well. Texas is kind of on the downtread. Steve Sarkisian, he's still trying to put all that pieces together, even at the end of the season, still trying to finish out strong for the Texas head coach. But he's not trending in the right way like Baylor is. And I think Baylor is going to come in. They're going to be upset and pissed off that they lost to TCU. So they're going to take it out on Texas. They're really going to be playing angry. So I really like Baylor in this. I don't think they're going to win by much. So I really like the 8.5 points. So I'm going to take Baylor because anything over 7 is a win in my eyes. Because I think this game is going to be about 5 or 6 point differential. So I'm going to take Baylor plus 8.5. Let's lock it in. All right, next up is Arkansas minus 3 against Mizzou. So it's a 2:30 p.m. kickoff, just in time when they're having the Auburn and Alabama Iron Bowl kickoff. So Arkansas, they are trending up. They played LSU. They have 6 sacks against LSU. They blew the doors off of Ole Miss with KJ Jefferson. He runs that offense. If KJ's not there, the quarterback for Arkansas, this team is completely different. KJ is starting to play better as far as health-wise and everything else. So I really like how Arkansas is. Minus 3, I would back up the truck on this. I think this is a really good game for Arkansas. Expect them to come out there, play really good football, and just manhandle Missouri all over the field. So no need to go any further. I really like how Arkansas has been playing. Their defense is really stepping up. Just incredible defense. I wish this defense would have been playing like this the whole entire season, because they would have been really knocking out some teams. And if they win this, they're going to be playing for a better bowl. So they have a lot to play for in this game. So let's take Arkansas minus 3. Okay, so up next is UCLA minus 10 against Cal. So it was the battle of LA, like I mentioned to you. USC against UCLA. Great game. 2 heavyweights slugging it out, standing in the middle of the field. Eventually USC being the better team against with Lincoln Riley. he was, being starting to pull away from it at the end. But for a while, for the first 3 quarters, it was a really great game of just sitting there, just playing, smash mouth football between the two. UCLA is, I think, probably the number 3 team in the Pac-12 right now as far as like strength and power and everything else. So I like, I really like how UCLA is trending. They're still being very competitive, even all the way at the end. Cal is pretty much a dumpster fire at the end of the season. So there's really not much more to explain. I expect UCLA to cover the 10 points. I mean, it's basically what we're asking, right? Who's going to cover the 10 points? I think UCLA should cover the 10 points with no problem, probably in the second quarter, and then just take it from there and pretty much just go on cruise control. But UCLA still's got a lot to play for the bowl season. Try to get a better bowl game. So let's go ahead and take UCLA minus 10, and I think they should have that by the second quarter. Okay, next up is the granddaddy of them all, pretty much. Well, everybody says that's the Rose Bowl, but this is Michigan at Ohio State. Ohio State's minus 7.5. They play at 11 a.m. Michigan's got the defense. Ohio State's got the offense. Smash them both together. Which one wins? It's going to be a really great game either way. I'm surprised it's not a night game. I'm surprised it's an 11 a.m. kickoff. I don't know who Fox Sports really messed up. I don't know why in the world they would schedule this at 11 a.m. Unless there's World Cup going on in the afternoon. I have no idea. But this should have been a night game. Anyway, Michigan at Ohio State. Michigan's playing really good. Their running back got hurt last week. Ohio State is still playing really well. So if I had to pick a team on health-wise, Ohio State's healthier than Michigan right now as far as offenses go. On defense, I think Ohio State's got, what's that name? That player that got hurt a few weeks ago. I think he's going to come back for this game. And Michigan is doing well on defense too. But the thing I like about it right now, it's plus 7.5 if you go with Michigan. Ohio State is minus 7.5. So I think it's going to come down to 3 or 4 points in this difference. Michigan always seems to kind of choke at the end. I don't expect them probably to win the game, but I probably expect them to cover the spread. So I kind of like that 7.5. So if I had to guess, and if I was going to bet lightly, not a lot of money, but if I was going to bet light, I would take Michigan plus 7.5. That's who I like. And who knows, we might be sitting here just being like Ohio State might just hit the gas pedal and just blow them all out the door. Because whoever wins this is getting out of the playoffs. So there is a lot to play for. This is pretty much what you're going to watch here is playoff teams competing against each other earlier than when they would have played already. But this is pretty much a playoff game late in the season going to the national championship. But we're seeing this early for 2 teams to play going for the playoff spot. There can only be one survivor. It's like a death match. Who's going to win that death match? And for me, I think it might be Ohio State to win the game, but I don't think it'd be enough to cover for the game, if you kind of see what I'm saying here. I mean, they Marvin Harrison Jr. For Ohio State is probably the most complete wide receiver out there, and he's the difference maker. And if you can shut him down, they have that other guy, that other wide receiver. I can't pronounce his name. I think it's Uga Guga or something like that. He's another difference maker. But Marvin Harrison Jr., he's just like his dad, probably even a little bit better than his dad. All right, next up is Bama minus 21.5 against Auburn. Cadillac Williams is the coach for Auburn right now. He was a great running back for Auburn, and I really liked his name. I mean, it was perfect. Cadillac Williams. What a perfect name for a running back, And he ran like he was a Cadillac, like those big old 70s Cadillacs, that would like go down the road, and if you stood in front of it or if it got in a wreck, it would just plow it over. It didn't matter what it was. It was like the big old tanks. That's what Cadillac Williams reminded me of, and he was a running back for Auburn. And he knows what this Iron Bowl is all about. He knows the history, the fire, the passion. He knows what it means. So he's going to have his players fired up, ready to play this game. Bama, they beat Sister Mary of the Poor, and they shut them out. Which I mean, and it wasn't even much of a shutout. It was like 35-0. I mean, are we kidding me? What happened to the Bama of old that used to, you know, play Sister Mary of the Poor and they'd blow them out by 75 points in the first half? 35 points. I mean, come on, Bama. So, and a lot of people are saying that Nick Saban is pretty much out the door. Not sure about that. A lot of rumors being spread, but I was told a few years ago that from some of the way up there alum that Nick Saban has been thinking about. And whenever you think about retirement, you're pretty much retired, according to Bob Levy. If you remember, the old Buffalo Bills coach who took him to the Super Bowl 4 times. And he said, if you're thinking about retirement, you're already retired. And according to the Alabama alum, Nick Saban has been mentioning that he was thinking about retirement in the next couple of years coming up. So this might be one step pusher that he might be one step closer that he might be getting out of the door for Alabama. I'm not saying he's retiring next season or anything else, but it's definitely trending more that direction. The weight is definitely, momentum is building more every season, especially with a season like this. So with all that being said, who do you like? No Sevens. We don't care about the sugar and the sprinkles. We want the meat and the potatoes. So with all that being said, I think Auburn is going to play a great game. And it's always close. Always close. But I kind of want to take Bama minus 21.5. But whew, it's going to be a tough one. This is a tough game, guys. If you go back for the past 10 years, it's always came down to a couple of points. The past few ones haven't been close. Bama's run away on them. I think Nick Saban, to make a statement that he's going to go out strong and that he really wants to compete in the New Year's Six game, he needs to win this, and he needs to win this convincingly. So I'm going to take Bama minus 21.5. I don't know if you can read that or not. That's supposed to say Bama. Some coon-ass writing. You know how those coon-asses are. All right, Utah minus 29.5 against Colorado. Now, if you remember, Colorado fired our coach in the third week of the season. They should have fired him in February, or even before then, last season. If you weren't going to like the guy, why keep him on board for that long and destroy a whole entire recruiting class and everything else? And there's no point in saying that, well, we'll judge him game by game. If you're going to fire him, pull the trigger and just fire him and get him over with at the end of the game of the last season. So that way the recruiting class and everything else, you can build it right moving forward. Utah is playing an outstanding game. Tough break against Oregon. And they played them really, really tough. Just Cam Rising, the quarterback for Utah, he had an off day. I mean, he threw, 3 interceptions, 4 interceptions. It was somewhere around there. Just a really tough break. Utah really wanted to win that, and they could have been playing against USC. I think they're going to play this game really pissed off, and I don't think Colorado even has a chance, not even in garbage time, because Utah really needs to finish this game convincingly for a big bowl game. And that's if they don't have a big bowl game, I'm not saying that their season's a failure, but it's going to be a letdown for them because they had everything in front of them and they lost it all. So wouldn't you want to play pissed off and aggravated that you lost that game? I know I would, and I know those players would. I know Cam Rising wants to play the best game of his life against Colorado to prove that those 3 interceptions, 4 interceptions, whatever it was not a mistake. So expect Utah to cover the 29.5 points, and Utah's defense, I don't even think Colorado's going to cross the 50 the whole entire game. So I'm going to take Utah minus 29.5. Now, if this thing goes up and above 30 or 31 points, stay away from the game because Utah can score, but I don't think they're going to blow the doors off of Colorado. So keep that in mind. But we are going to take Utah minus 29.5. And No Sevens has got to get this right. Because if I lose this week, I'm not going to be able to finish the season with 3 months in victories, 3 winning months. I need to finish this season or this week to win November. So I got a lot riding on these teams. So I'm making the best decisions possible. Next up is LSU, my Tigers, -10 against Texas A&M. Texas A&M calls this a rival game. You know, if you only win one time, and that one time you won was against 7 overtimes, and it showed 7 different times that LSU won that game in 7 overtimes, and that was the only time you beat LSU since you joined the SEC since 2012. It's not a rival. I'm just saying, I'm throwing it out there. You can't just beat us one time and say, oh, it's the rival game of the season, you know? There's no rival here. Jimbo Fisher's a dumpster fire. Jimbo Fisher is a salesman. He's a fraud. He's a hack. Everybody's seen what he's worth. And I'm not afraid to tell any Texas A&M fan that you guys got sold down the river and you guys bought the snake oil. Congratulations. He sold it to you hook, line, and sinker. And you guys deserve whatever you believe in, because I've been saying to all the Texas boosters that I've been talking to for the past few years that if you extend Jimbo Fisher's contract, you're going to get exactly what happened to them in Florida State, where they were getting ready to fire him, and the only way he wasn't fired was because he went to Texas A&M. That's how bad it is. They bought the snake oil. Now you have to live with the snake oil. LSU's -10. LSU's offense has gotten a lot better when they played UAB, a lesser opponent in Arkansas. For Texas A&M, this is it. After this, their season's over with. You know, they barely won last week against a no-name opponent. And, I mean, it's bad over at Texas A&M. I think the players have pretty much packed up and left. Jimbo Fisher's going to try to make this a rival game. He's going to try to blow up smoke and fire and everything else, get his players all hooped up, and they might play all right. Now, what LSU's going to do, they're going to come in there and they're just going to punch Texas A&M right in the face as hard as they can in the first quarter, and they're going to shut it down. If LSU comes in there and they just drop a 21-point bomb on Texas A&M in the first half of this game, Texas A&M is going to fold up shop and they'll be like, yeah, you know what? The season's already crap, so why would we even want to compete anymore? So if LSU does that, that 10 points is going to be easily taken care of. So that's the reason why I like LSU. They have a lot to play for. They got to keep the momentum going because they're playing Georgia. I don't think they're going to overlook this game. Coach Kelly, he's got the team trending right. He knows how to get them focused, and he knows what this game means, that if they lose this game, there is no playoffs. So they got to win, and they got to win convincingly. So that's the reason why no matter what happens to Georgia, they have to win this game, exclamation point, exclamation point. So let's take LSU -10 for a big win. I wasn't trying to rhyme there or anything else, but it's a big win for the 10. All right. So I'm not doing a money line parlay this week. First week, I haven't done a money line parlay all season long. I don't know. I might throw one in there personally later on down the road. But I want to do a big money bet for you. This one I forgot to write on there. Hold on. All right, there we go. Now I got it. Plus 650. All right. So my big money bet is Baylor plus 8.5 against Texas. Bama -22. And it already changed because I had -21.5 on the board. 30 minutes later, when I went to go redo the big money bet to add to the board, because I was writing all the teams down first, and I went to do the big money bet, it already bumped up half a point. So Bama -22, UCLA, the money line. Now remember, I took the -10, but this time I decided to do the money line. If you want to, you can do -10 or the money line, whichever one you want. And LSU -10 for the win. And it's going to be 650. It's going to be a little bit more if you do UCLA -10, but totally up to you. We got to finish this week strong. I'm going to be back next week to go over conference championships with you and who do I like in conference championships, and see how we do for the season. And hopefully I can stay in the 70% win percentage. That's all I want. If I can finish undefeated, that would put me, I think, at 73, 74% win percentage for the season. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. Yep, 8 games. If I can do that, that would be great, because that would put me at 50 wins, 26 losses, and 1 push. That would be the first time ever I hit a 50 season win. I should go back and add up all my wins and losses throughout the season since I've been doing college predictions on my YouTube channel and see where I'm at for the overall record. But 50 wins would be a great accomplishment to finish out the year. So let's hopefully we can do it. Finish out strong, guys. I wish you great success this week for your college picks and a great Thanksgiving. Drive safe. Remember, try not to get too angry with road rage and eat lots of turkey. Watch football, World Cup, and pass out and then wake up and do it all over again. What more can you say if you love sports that you can watch the World Cup for Thanksgiving and NFL football? First time ever World Cup has been played in November. Really, really, really cool. So guys, all the success, no sevens is going to catch you on the flip side.